So today we will start with discussing of previous year questions, and we are starting with GS1 Indian Society questions. So we'll try to see what is the basic way to answer your UPSC CSE questions. Now, one thing you have to remember that when you're writing your answers, there are three parts. There is a video also on it, but still I'll just repeat the points very quickly. So, one is your introduction. Introduction, just remember that you have to write in 1 to 2 lines. Please don't exceed that. Introduction is just giving the examiner the context about which you will be start discussing. So don't make it one paragraph or two paragraph, just 1 and 2 lines. Then introduction, you can either start from definition, or you can start with some current affair news which might be related to the question, or you can start with data. And when we'll tackle polity question, there's another way also. You can quote constitutional articles, right? Or you can write some Supreme Court judgment also, right? Your choice. Then if you're talking about history question do not have definition, current affair, data, etc. History question, usually whatever period they're asking about Mauryan, Gupta, you just talk about the time period in which that extended. That will be your introduction, just one line about that, right? Anyhow, coming back, body of your answer is divided into thesis and antithesis. I've told you in essay also. In thesis, you will address the main demand of the question. Say it is asking you about the successes of Panchayati Raj institutions. So positive points, the successes will come here. Now the opposite side of the coin, opposite argument, negative argument, right? Challenges, criticism, drawbacks, all these will come in the antithesis, negative part. So you have to remember they're not asking, the answer has to be balanced with both the views. Sometimes the question is framed in a negative sense. Say you have to talk about failures of Panchayati Raj, that will come first, but the positive part will become second. So now these things you have to take care while reading the question. Last will be the conclusion, which has to be solution oriented, which is also known as synthesis, right? So this is basic, just quick recap about how to write your answer. Now we'll start the discussion. First question is, today we will try to cover 2 questions regarding caste system, which is an important topic. So UPSC 2020 question says, has caste lost its relevance in understanding the multicultural Indian society? Elaborate with illustrations. Now examples anyhow you have to give in your answer, but it is specifically saying illustration, so that should be the part of your answer. So now structure here would be, first you will define caste, right? Mention how it has been considered distinctive feature of Indian society. Then in the body of your answer, you will first discuss that how caste is relevant in today's time, right? And then antithesis will be how caste has lost relevance. Conclusion will be stating that it is still having its place in the society, although it has changed, and plus telling the ways in which we can decrease the relevance, right? So this is the structure. Now content, very quickly we'll discuss. So now first you will discuss the introduction. You write down the definition. Caste system is defined as system of social stratification, hierarchically arranged close endogamous groups. Membership is ascriptive, contact is restricted. So all these things you will write in your answer. The next body of your answer, connecting line after introduction, you will write down that due to many factors such as Indian constitution, education, reservation, caste has started giving less consideration to caste, the society. So you will discuss that caste has lost its relevance. Although in the structure I told you can start with retaining its relevance or lost its relevance, because the question is in the form of it is asking you. And also remember, the question is saying, has caste lost right? So you have to explain through example. It is not asking, how it has lost. It is asking how it has lost and not why. So the reasons for losing its relevance, like education, constitution, are not important. You have to tell, you have to illustrate that how it has lost its relevance. So this is the question. So now you will talk about under different subheadings under caste and economics, where you can talk about how disassociation of caste with occupation, open secular jobs are there due to industrialization. Then caste and rituals, where you can say how it is becoming a personal affair, how previously low caste used to stay outside the limits of the city. Now there is secular housing is there, right? Then urban areas, there is anonymity, nobody knows from which caste you are, you don't even ask to which caste you belong, right? So emphasis of community based caste rituals is going down. Then also access to your open spaces, public spaces, transport system, public wells, etc., right? It is not restricted now, especially after article 17. Then food habits are more, or a place of residence, it's individual choice rather than the caste. Interdining has also started. So these will tell that caste has lost relevance in ritual sphere, right? First we discussed about economic sphere, then ritual sphere. Next we will talk about caste and endogamy. Endogamy means marrying within your own caste, marrying in one's caste. So now in this you will discuss that caste, when we're talking about caste in urban areas, it's more based on your jobs, economic status, your compatibility, rather than marrying within your caste. Higher levels of education associated with more liberal attitudes now and willingness to challenge the traditional norms, that why should I marry only within my caste, right? Next, caste and politics. Caste and politics, previously your political positions were only restricted for your upper caste, morely ruling class used to be Kshatriyas, but now marginalized castes through reservation, they are becoming MPs, MLAs, ministers, etc. Right? Now this was all about caste losing its relevance. Next part will be, right, to make it balance, that it still retains relevance. So you talk about caste and economic sphere, how priests are still Brahmins, manual scavengers are still Dalits, right? It means their still association is there. Then in ritual sphere, prevalence of untouchability, about 27% of Indian households still practice untouchability according to Indian Human Development Survey. Then caste violence is still there, right? Social media has so many videos of stripping, lynching, tying up, flogging of Dalits. Then caste of endogamy, according to census 2011, only 5% marriages are intercaste marriages. Honor killing is still prevalent, right? In India, if you marry outside your caste, there is a threat to your life also. Then caste and politics, electoral dynamics. Caste often determines voting patterns, right? You vote based on your caste. Caste has become your identity, right, with respect to your political affiliations. Caste based political parties like BSP, Samajwadi parties are also there. So that was the second part. Conclusion will be that how to now end this. Now you can write awareness, right? Through education, through proper implementation of reservation policy, we can end it. So now this is a balanced answer. Yes, caste has lost relevance. No, it has not lost its relevance. Then conclusion at the end. That is your entire question. Now next is, why is caste identity in India both fluid and static? Now it is asking why. Previous question was how or has it lost its relevance. Through example you have to show it has lost its relevance and not lost relevance. Here, why caste identity in India is fluid means it is changing. Static means it is still the same. Now here you will write the agents of change when you are discussing it is fluid, right? Start will be similar. You define it. Next, you write down that in context of caste identity in India, fluid refers to evolving, adaptable nature of caste distinctions. Static points out fixed, immovable aspects deeply rooted in ancient texts and historical context. Now, why caste is static, right? You can give a subheading and then write that it is deeply rooted in history and religious foundation. It is given in the scriptures. That is why it is static in nature. Then endogamy is one thing which is preserving the purity of caste system. Even Dr. Ambedkar said that if you want to annihilate caste, you have to encourage intercaste marriages. So it is passed down from generation to generation. Then cultural practices and rituals surrounding castes, caste specific things are there, rituals, your prayers, etc. So that also makes it pass down from your generation to generation. Then your socialization from your household only, you are taught that okay, we belong to this particular caste, our caste is very high, right? Also community pressure is there, right, to follow the caste, to follow the social norm expectation, to reinforce the caste boundaries, making it challenging to break away from these identities, right? Now the next part of the answer will be why caste identity is fluid. You break down the question and answer all the parts of it. Now it is because economic mobility and urbanization, right? So urbanization, you're going for a secular job, moving out of village, so your identity becomes more secular in nature, more dependent upon your work rather than your caste. Then intercaste marriages are happening, right? That is also creating a fluidity. It is challenging the caste boundaries, right? And it is contributing to the fluid status of caste identity. Then political mobilization also, your dalits are there in the political sphere also, they are becoming occupying important positions, they are challenging the hierarchies which were formed by caste, making it more fluid in nature, right, more dynamic as an identity. Then legal reforms, laws, social movements which reduce caste based discrimination, social movements advocate justice. So it erodes the caste boundaries. That identity which was static, it questions it. Then globalization, more modern values of liberty, equality, fraternity comes in, right? Cultural exchange, and they question why caste is there, right? Leading to more fluid conception of identity. Now, at the end, you will summarize this and write that understanding the fluid and static nature of caste identity is a complex task, deeply rooted in tradition, norms, socio political intricacies. With conscious efforts, a future where fluidity takes over static rigidity is conceivable. You can plus add how it will be conceivable with education, with awareness, with implementation of schemes, right? All these things you can write down and you can end your answer. So these two questions related to caste system, one has come in 2020, one has come in 2023, which we have discussed. One more question on caste has been asked in 2018. We will be discussing that shortly. Thank you so much.